The Galaxy Council Hall was one of the greatest wonders in the stars. It was a massive chamber floating above a white-blue planet, with walls of crystal that shimmered like starlight. Thousands of beings from different races filled the seats, their voices rising in a chorus of debate. Every race believed itself wise and powerful, yet all pretended to serve the unity of the council. At the center of the chamber, a tall, thin alien with silver skin and glowing eyes stood. His name was Elder Theros. He belonged to a very old race, the Saranth, who had watched younger species rise and fall across the ages. Theros raised his long hand to speak, and the noise slowly quieted. "My friends of the council," Theros said in a calm but firm tone, "we gathered today because of a troubling matter. The humans. You know of them. A young race, yes, but one that carries in its heart a spirit unlike any other." A few delegates laughed softly, the sound echoing in the chamber. The humans were newcomers in galactic politics, only a few generations out among the stars. Their homeworld, Earth, was not impressive compared to the ancient cities of the galaxy. Yet somehow their expansion had been quick, and their colonies had survived dangers that would have destroyed others. Theros continued, "I have studied their history. I have read their stories of old wars, of survival, of determination. I say this not to praise them, but to warn you. If you harm them, they will never forgive. If you strike them, they will rise stronger. If you destroy one of their homes, they will remember it for 1,000 years." The council chamber erupted with laughter this time. A heavy-bodied alien from the Kreth Empire slammed his claw on the table. "Are we to fear these fragile creatures? Their ships are small, their fleets are few. They have no great empire, no mighty weapons. They are children, Elder Theros, nothing more." Others nodded. The Zarn Confederacy delegate, a thin insect-like being, hissed in amusement. "Humans are loud and emotional. They think themselves important, but they are nothing compared to our civilizations. Why do you waste our time?" Theros' glowing eyes dimmed slightly. "Because I have seen this before," he said softly. "Other young races have been attacked, yes, but none of them carried the will of humans. They are different. They will not surrender. They will not bow. I speak these words so that you do not make the mistake of provoking them. If you do, you will unleash something none of us can stop." At the side of the chamber, in one of the lower rows, sat a small group of humans. They were the official ambassadors of Earth, dressed in simple dark uniforms. They listened carefully, but they did not speak. Their leader, Ambassador Carter, kept his face calm, though he felt a storm rising inside him. The humans had joined the Galaxy Council hoping for peace, for friendship, for a place among the stars. But day after day they had heard whispers behind their backs. Other delegates spoke of them as upstarts and reckless colonizers. Now, hearing them mocked openly, Carter's jaw tightened. When the laughter faded, Theros spoke again, his voice carrying across the chamber. "You see weakness, but weakness can be the mask of strength. A wound can heal into scar, and scars remember." The council leader, a large creature with 3 eyes known as Chancellor Varun, rose from his seat. "Thank you, Elder Theros. Your words are noted, but this council does not live in fear. We live in order, and if these humans ever become a problem, we will teach them their place." The session ended with murmurs of agreement, and the great crystal chamber emptied slowly. Outside the council hall, the alien delegates spoke with one another in private groups. Many mocked Theros for being dramatic. Some dismissed the humans as irrelevant. Others, however, were less certain. A few had noticed how quickly humans adapted, how they turned even hostile worlds into thriving colonies. Ambassador Carter and his small team left the chamber in silence. Once they were in their private quarters, one of his aides finally spoke. "They do not respect us. They laugh at us as if we are children." Carter nodded. "Yes, but remember this. Children grow." He looked out the wide glass window at the endless stars. Deep inside, he knew Theros had spoken the truth. The humans did not seek war. They wanted peace, trade, knowledge. But if ever attacked, if ever betrayed, humanity would not forget, and they would not stop. Meanwhile, in hidden council rooms, not everyone laughed. The Kreth Empire gathered with several other powerful races. Their leaders met around a circular table of dark stone. "The humans spread too quickly," one said. "They claim new systems at a rate that troubles us. They are careless," another hissed. "They settle dangerous worlds. They build colonies without fear. If they continue, they will be a threat. The Kreth commander leaned forward, his eyes glowing. Then let us strike now before they grow strong. They will learn their place in the galaxy. The others nodded slowly. They would not listen to Theros. They would not believe the warning. Plans began to form in secret. Plans that would soon change everything. Back on the homeworld Earth, life went on as usual. Cities glowed with light. Colonists prepared for journeys to far systems. Children studied in schools where stars were not distant dreams but destinations. Among the people, there was no thought of war. They believed in peace and cooperation, though their history books reminded them of hard struggles in the past. Humanity's spirit was to survive, to adapt, and to keep moving forward. Yet far across the galaxy, seeds of conflict had already been planted. The Council had ignored the warning. Some races plotted in secret, and one elder, Theros, stood alone, his heart heavy with knowledge. He whispered to himself as he looked into the stars, "They do not know what they are awakening. They do not understand what fire they are about to touch." That night in the Chamber of Stars, silence filled the galaxy. The future was uncertain, but one truth remained, carried like a quiet echo through time. Do not attack the humans. If you do, they will hunt you forever. The stars were silent, but silence can be broken in an instant. Far away from Earth, on the edge of human expansion, there was a small colony named Haven Reach. It was not a powerful place, not a fortress or a grand capital. Haven Reach was a peaceful outpost, a settlement where families lived, where children played under twin suns, where farmers grew crops in strange alien soil. It was proof that humanity could make a home anywhere. The people of Haven Reach never expected war. But war came anyway. In the darkness of space, a coalition fleet gathered. Dozens of warships from different races floated like shadows against the stars. The Kreth Empire led them, their great armored ships armed with heavy cannons and energy beams. Beside them flew the sharp needle-like cruisers of the Zarn Confederacy, the heavy carriers of the Raylyth, and smaller ships from other allies. In the command ship of the Kreth, Lord General Varkan stood with his claws behind his back. His eyes gleamed with pride. Today, he declared to his officers, "We teach these humans their place. They spread too fast. They speak too loudly. They must learn respect." No one in the chamber spoke against him. To them, humans were still weak. A new race with no ancient fleets, no great empires. Crushing Haven Reach would send a message. It would remind humans who truly ruled the stars. The order was given. The fleet advanced. The colony's sensors picked up the fleet before it arrived, but there was little the settlers could do. Haven Reach had only a few defense ships, nothing compared to the mighty coalition armada. In the command center of the colony, Governor Elena Ward stood before the screen as red alerts echoed through the room. Her face was calm, but her heart was heavy. "They are coming," an officer whispered. "Send the distress signal to Earth," Ward ordered. "Even if we fall, our voice must be heard." "Yes, Governor." Across the colony, alarms rang. Families ran for shelters, ships lifted into the sky, defense turrets powered up. But all knew the truth: Haven Reach could not withstand what was coming. The first wave struck like thunder. Kreth warships fired beams of burning light, tearing through human defense ships as if they were paper. Zarn cruisers launched swarms of plasma bolts, raining fire on the colony's shields. Explosions filled the sky, painting it red. Still, the humans resisted. The small defense fleet, outnumbered and outgunned, did not retreat. They fought with courage, striking at weak points, ramming enemy ships when weapons failed. Pilots gave their lives, buying precious minutes for the colony below. On the surface, soldiers and civilians alike worked side by side. Engineers rerouted power to shields, medics carried the wounded, and families huddled together in shelters deep underground. Even as buildings crumbled, even as fire spread, the people of Haven Reach did not surrender. Inside the command center, Governor Ward stood firm. "Keep the signal going. Let Earth know what has happened here. Let the galaxy know what they have done." The officer at the console turned, sweat on his brow. "Governor, the main tower is burning. We will not hold much longer." "Then we hold as long as we can," Ward replied. Her eyes burned with quiet strength. Above, the last human defense ship fell. The colony shields shattered. Coalition forces began landing troops, overwhelming the surface. The people of Haven Reach fought in the streets, but they were outmatched. Still, the signal continued to transmit. A desperate message carried across the stars. This is Haven Reach. We are under attack. The council races have come for us. We will not survive, but we will be remembered. Then the signal cut to static. Far away, on Earth, the message arrived. In the Great Hall of the United Earth Alliance, silence followed the broadcast. Leaders, generals, and ambassadors sat frozen as the last words of Haven Reach echoed in their ears. Some clenched their fists. Others bowed their heads. Ambassador Carter, who had sat quietly during the mockery in the Galaxy Council, rose slowly. His face was pale, but his voice was steady. They have killed our people. They have attacked without reason. They think we will fear them. They think we will surrender. He looked around the room, meeting every gaze. They are wrong. The news spread across Earth and every human colony. Grief filled the hearts of millions. Families wept for those lost. But alongside grief came something else. Unity. Factories that once built machines for farming now built ships of war. Scientists who once studied peaceful projects turned their minds to defense. Colonists who had lived ordinary lives volunteered to fight. Everywhere, a single vow was spoken. We will remember Haven Reach. Back in the council chamber, the races who ordered the strike met in private. Some were pleased. They believed humans would retreat, broken and afraid. But Elder Theros stood apart, silent. When he finally spoke, his voice was filled with sorrow. You fools. Do you not see what you have done? The Kreth commander sneered. We showed them strength. Theros shook his head. No, you have shown them fire. And they will burn hotter than you can imagine. But no one listened. Pride and arrogance blinded them. They could not see the storm that was coming. In the weeks that followed, human fleets began to gather. Small at first, but growing quickly, ships once used for trade were armed with weapons. Old designs were upgraded, new technologies pushed forward at a pace no one expected. The galaxy watched with unease. Stories spread of humans working day and night, of colonies offering supplies, of people standing together with one voice. One by one, the races that laughed at humanity began to feel a shadow of fear. They remembered the last words of Elder Theros. If you strike them, they will rise stronger. If you destroy one of their homes, they will remember it for 1,000 years. And they realized, far too late, that the warning had already begun to come true. On Earth, Ambassador Carter stood once again before the Great Assembly. Behind him hung the banner of humanity, a symbol of unity. They thought Haven Reach would be forgotten. They thought we would bow. They were wrong. We will not stop. We will not forget. And we will not forgive. His words were carried across every colony, every ship, every home. The vow of humanity was clear. The hunt had begun. The galaxy had thought the humans would grieve quietly, then fade back into silence. Instead, the humans began to move with a speed no one had predicted. Factories on Earth and across every colony burned day and night. Engines roared as ships were built at record speed. Old vessels, once used for trade or exploration, were stripped and refitted for war. Weapons were tested, shields improved, and entire industries shifted to support one single purpose: vengeance. The memory of Haven Reach was alive in every human heart. The destruction of that peaceful colony had become more than a tragedy. It had become a promise. Humanity would not rest until those responsible paid the price. The first raids, the coalition fleet that had destroyed Haven Reach, continued to patrol the outer regions. They expected fear. They expected surrender. Instead, they were the first to feel the hunt begin. It started small. A lone human frigate attacked one of their supply ships, vanishing into an asteroid belt before the larger warships could respond. At first, the coalition commanders laughed. Annoying insects, they called the humans, but the raids did not stop. Every week, another ship was ambushed. Convoys were struck in deep space. Communication relays were destroyed. Fuel depots mysteriously exploded. The coalition ships grew nervous, their crews watching every shadow, every signal. One Kreth captain growled in frustration during a report. We hunt them, but they are like smoke. Always there, never caught. The humans had begun their war not with overwhelming fleets, but with patience, cunning, and relentlessness. The relentless spirit stories spread quickly across the galaxy. One tale told of a human corvette that had been surrounded by 3 Zarn cruisers. Instead of surrendering, The corvette rammed the nearest enemy, destroying both ships in the explosion. Another story spoke of colonists on a remote mining world. When coalition troops landed to seize the settlement, the colonists fought back with mining lasers, explosives, and even their bare hands. By the time reinforcements arrived, the invaders were gone, driven off by farmers and engineers. Everywhere the coalition turned, they faced resistance. Humans refused to kneel. Even when outnumbered, even when outgunned, they fought with a determination that unsettled their enemies. The races of the council began to whisper among themselves. Elder Theros's warning returned to their minds. They will not surrender. They will not bow. If you strike them, they will rise stronger. And indeed, humanity was rising. Unity in the stars. What surprised the galaxy most was not only the courage of humans, but their unity. Earth, once divided by nations and politics, now stood as one. Colonies far across the stars sent resources freely. Volunteers joined the fleet, and even old rivalries disappeared. Admiral Hayes, a leader of the new human fleet, spoke before the gathered officers. We are no longer Earth alone. We are no longer scattered colonies. We are one people now. And together we will never be broken. The officers saluted, their faces hard with determination. Human fleets grew larger every month. Small raids turned into coordinated strikes. The coalition began losing ships faster than they could replace them. The enemy's fear inside the grand halls of the Galaxy Council. Fear began to spread. Delegates whispered about the humans' growing strength. Reports arrived daily of destroyed fleets, sabotaged stations, and colonies that refused to fall. The Kreth Empire tried to hide its losses, but rumors leaked. The Zarn Confederacy complained that their trade routes were unsafe, their convoys constantly under attack. Even races that had not joined the first strike began to feel uneasy. One council session grew heated. A delegate slammed his claw on the table. They are everywhere. They strike like shadows. They hunt us even in our own space. Elder Theros rose, his voice calm but heavy with sorrow. I warned you. The humans will not stop. They will remember every world that joined the attack on Haven Reach. And they will not rest until justice is done. The chamber grew silent. For the first time, some council members began to wonder if the humans could be defeated at all. The hunt deepens. Months turned into years. Humanity's strategy grew sharper. Instead of fighting only in open battles, they learned to strike where it hurt most. Coalition supply chains collapsed as human fleets targeted fuel depots and transport hubs. Enemy commanders found themselves without resources, their fleets stranded. On one Kreth world, a massive weapons factory exploded in the night. Witnesses swore human infiltrators had caused the blast. Another report told of a Zarn warship stolen by human operatives, turned against its former masters in a daring raid. The coalition leaders grew angry, but their anger was mixed with fear. They had wanted to teach humans a lesson. Instead, the humans were teaching them what true relentlessness looked like. The human vow across every human world. One phrase had become sacred. We will not forget. Children learned it in schools. Soldiers carved it into the armor of their ships. Families whispered it when remembering those lost at Haven Reach. It was not only about revenge. It was about survival, about dignity, about proving that humanity was not weak. They would not let themselves be prey. They would stand, fight, and endure until justice was done. Ambassador Carter, now a respected voice across human colonies, said it best in a speech to the people. They thought Haven Reach would break us. Instead, it united us. They thought we would hide. Instead, we rise. They thought we would forget. But we will never forget. Not now, not ever. His words were carried across the stars, and the galaxy listened. A change in the galaxy as human power grew. Something else began to change. Smaller races, once too weak to resist the council empires, began to see hope in the humans. Secret messages arrived at human outposts. Offers of alliance, whispers of rebellion. Quiet support from those who had suffered under the same powers that had struck Haven Reach. The galaxy was shifting. Humanity was no longer just fighting for themselves. Their struggle had become a symbol, a reminder that even the young and the small could stand against giants. Elder Theros saw this clearly. He watched the council with sad eyes. They wanted to put humans in chains, he thought. Instead, they have given them wings. The shadow of what comes, but even as humanity grew stronger, the war was far from over. The Coalition still had vast fleets, ancient resources, and powerful weapons. The battles ahead would be long and bitter. Yet in every council chamber, in every enemy world, a quiet dread had begun to grow. The races of the galaxy had awakened something they did not understand. The humans were no longer seen as fragile newcomers. They were hunters now, hunters who never forgot. Hunters who would follow their prey across every star until justice was done, and so, the hunt deepened. In the quiet of space where stars burned eternal, the vow of humanity echoed louder than ever. We will remember. We will hunt. We will never stop. The war that began with Haven Reach had grown beyond what anyone imagined. What was once thought to be a small conflict had turned into a storm that swept across the galaxy. Humanity was no longer seen as a young race stumbling into the stars. They were seen as a shadow that hunted without rest. Across countless systems, alien commanders whispered the same words. The humans are coming. The fall of the strong, the Kreth Empire had been the first to strike against Haven Reach, and now it was the first to feel the sharp edge of humanity's revenge. On the world of Kreth-Var, a great fortress city stood beneath red skies. Its defenses were said to be unbreakable, with towers of iron and shields that had never fallen. But one night, human fleets appeared without warning. They came not with hundreds of ships, but with a small, precise strike group. The defenders laughed at the small fleet. They believed the fortress would hold, but within hours the laughter turned to terror. Human warships moved with speed and coordination the Kreth had never faced. They cut through supply lines, disabled the shield generators, and struck at the fortress with unrelenting fire. When the battle ended, Kreth-Var was not destroyed, but its fortress lay in ruins. The message was clear. No place was safe. Whispers in the council inside the Galaxy Council chamber. The atmosphere had changed. Where once laughter had filled the air when humans were mentioned, now silence followed. Delegates spoke in hushed voices, fearful of saying too much. Reports arrived daily of coalition losses, ships destroyed, colonies attacked, fleets scattered. Some races that had supported the first strike now questioned their choices. Others tried to distance themselves, claiming they had nothing to do with Haven Reach, but humans remembered. At the center of the chamber, Elder Theros stood once again. His silver skin reflected the starlight shining through the crystal walls. I warned you, he said softly. I told you what would happen if you struck them. They will not stop. They cannot be broken. And now you see the truth with your own eyes. The council leader, Chancellor Varun, shifted uncomfortably. His three eyes moved from one delegate to another, but no one met his gaze. Fear had entered the council, and fear is harder to silence than laughter. The relentless March human fleets spread farther into enemy territory. They did not conquer worlds to enslave them, nor did they seek to destroy every city. Instead, they struck with precision, targeting only those who had joined the attack on Haven Reach. It was a war of memory. Every ship that had fired on the colony, every base that had supplied the attackers, every leader who had ordered the strike, humans hunted them all. Admiral Hayes commanded one of the largest human fleets. His words became famous among his crews. We are not fighting for conquest. We are fighting for justice. And justice is patient. We will go world by world, ship by ship, until the galaxy learns what it means to strike at humanity. His fleet obeyed with fierce loyalty. They knew their cause was not greed, but remembrance. Fear in the streets on alien worlds, fear spread among ordinary citizens. Whispers filled marketplaces and homes. Children asked their parents if the humans were coming. Soldiers looked over their shoulders even in safe zones, expecting ambushes. One merchant on a Zarn world spoke nervously to his neighbor. They are only one species, yet they fight as if they were many. How do they do it? His neighbor shook his head. Because they never forget. They carry their anger like fire. Even races not involved in the attack began to tread carefully. None dared to insult humans now. Ambassadors who once mocked them now bowed politely. Trade partners offered better deals, hoping to stay on humanity's good side. The words of Elder Theros spread like a shadow across the galaxy. Do not attack the humans. If you do, they will hunt you forever. A growing alliance as humanity continued its relentless campaign. Smaller races began to look toward Earth with new eyes. Many had suffered under the great powers of the Council. They had been bullied, taxed, or forced into unfair treaties. Now they saw humans as a symbol of resistance. Secret messages arrived to human fleets, offers of information, safe harbors, and even soldiers willing to join the fight. On one hidden station, representatives from 3 minor races met with Ambassador Carter. "We know what you fight for," one of them said. "We have suffered as well. If we stand with you, will you remember us as friends?" Carter's answer was simple. "Humanity remembers both enemies and allies. Stand with us and we will never forget you." For the first time in history, humanity was not alone. They were building something larger, an alliance of the willing, forged not by fear but by shared pain and hope. The Elder's Sorrow, Elder Theros, watched these events unfold with heavy eyes. He knew the galaxy was changing forever. The old order, with its arrogant powers and proud empires, was beginning to crumble. Humanity had become the storm that none could ignore. He stood in the quiet of his chambers, looking out at the stars. "They could have been your friends," he whispered. "They came in peace and you answered with fire. Now you will learn what it means to awaken their wrath." Though he pitied the galaxy, a small part of him felt pride for the humans. They were proving themselves not just survivors, but a people of unbreakable will. The turning point. The coalition leaders grew desperate. Their fleets were shrinking, their people restless, their resources stretched thin. In a secret meeting, one commander slammed his fist on the table. "We must end this war before it destroys us. The humans do not stop." Another leader snarled, "Then crush them with everything we have left. Throw every fleet, every weapon. End this before they end us." But others shook their heads. They had seen the truth. Brute force had already failed. The humans did not break when attacked, they grew stronger. Every battle lost by the coalition only made humanity fiercer. The arrogance that once filled the council chamber was gone. Now only fear remained. The human message after one major victory. Admiral Hayes broadcast a message across all open channels. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of humanity's vow. "We did not choose this war. We did not seek your destruction. But you struck us and we remember. We will hunt until every world that joined in Haven reaches destruction answers for it. This is not conquest. This is justice." The message spread across the stars, carried on every frequency, repeated in every tongue. And everywhere it was heard, the galaxy trembled. The fear across the stars by now, the phrase had become legend. "Do not attack the humans." Parents told it to their children. Soldiers whispered it before battle. Traitors repeated it in hushed tones. It was no longer just a warning, it was law. Humanity had gone from being mocked as weak to being feared as relentless. They were not the largest, not the most advanced, not the oldest race, but they had proven something no one else could match. Once wronged, they never stopped. The galaxy watched with wide eyes, waiting to see what humanity would do next. And in the shadows of fear, hope also grew. For if humans could rise against the mighty, perhaps others could too. In the silence of the stars, the hunt continued. Humanity had not yet finished. Justice was still incomplete, but one truth had already been written into the history of the galaxy. The humans would never forget, and they would never stop. The galaxy had changed forever. What had started as a single strike against a small human colony had grown into a story told across the stars, a story of courage, unity, and relentless memory. Humanity had proven itself not just as survivors but as hunters, a force that could never be ignored. On the bridge of the flagship Eternal Resolve, Admiral Hayes looked out at the stars. The human fleet stretched behind him, hundreds of ships, each one built, armed, and crewed by people who carried the same vow in their hearts. "We will remember. We will never stop." Beside him stood Ambassador Carter, now older and wiser, having seen the consequences of the first strike and the power of human resolve. "They sent fleets to destroy us," Hayes said quietly. "They thought we would cower. They thought we would kneel," Carter nodded, "and they were wrong. Every world that joined in Haven Reach's destruction has now felt our hand. And even now, some still tremble at our approach." The fall of the coalition across the galaxy, the coalition races were on the defensive. The Kreth Empire, once proud and unyielding, had lost more than half its fleet in battles that had stretched over years. Their once mighty fortresses were shattered, their commanders humiliated, their people afraid. The Zarn Confederacy had fared no better. Supply lines were destroyed, colonies abandoned, and morale at an all-time low. Even races that had only reluctantly joined the first strike now begged for mercy, hoping to escape human vengeance. Reports of human precision raids continued to arrive daily. Ships once thought untouchable were disabled or captured. Supply depots exploded. Entire garrisons vanished. Wherever the humans went, their strategy was clear: strike hard, strike precisely, and never stop until justice was done. The Council's humility, the Galaxy Council, once full of pride, now met in tension and fear. The chamber that had echoed with laughter when humans were discussed now vibrated with unease. Chancellor Varun addressed the council, his 3 eyes darting nervously. The humans, they are not like anything we have faced before. They fight with purpose. They remember every loss. We underestimated them. Elder Theros, standing silently to one side, nodded slowly. I warned you, he said softly. I spoke of fire and now you see it. You could have chosen friendship. You chose war. And now, humanity reminds the galaxy that no one can strike them without consequence. Some younger council members finally understood what had been clear from the start. Attacking humans was a mistake no one could easily repair. The Human Approach Admiral, Hayes's fleet, arrived at the heart of the Coalition's territory. The remaining leaders were prepared for a final confrontation, expecting humanity to destroy them. They had seen the stories, Haven Reach, Krethvar, the Zarn worlds, and believed humanity's goal was conquest. But humans did not seek destruction of the innocent. They sought accountability. Their fleet struck only where necessary, disabling fleets and stations, cutting communications, and then occupying long enough to ensure the Coalition leaders understood their message. On a small shattered moon, Hayes and Carter met with the surviving leaders of the Coalition. You sought to destroy us, Carter said calmly. You believed we were weak, and yet here we stand. Do you understand what this means? The leaders, beaten and fearful, nodded. Yes, one of them whispered. We see now, we were wrong. We were not seeking vengeance for ourselves alone, Hayes continued. We remember Haven Reach, every world attacked, every fleet lost. We do not forgive lightly, but we do give a choice. Learn from this. Stand with us, or continue to live in fear. A new order. What followed was unprecedented. The remaining Coalition races signed a treaty with humanity, ensuring that no species would ever attack human colonies without facing consequences. The treaty was fair, but firm. It did not destroy empires. It did not humiliate populations unnecessarily. Instead, it enforced accountability, ensuring that the memory of Haven Reach and all human colonies would remain sacred. Human fleets returned to patrol, but not to conquer. Humanity had become a guardian of sorts, respected by all, feared by those who considered aggression, and admired by those who valued justice. Across the galaxy, the words of Elder Theros were remembered. Do not attack the humans. If you do, they will hunt you forever. Humanity's place in History Earth and its colonies now held a seat of power in the Council, not because of intimidation, but because of principle. Humanity had proven that they were not just strong fighters. They were fair, determined, and unyielding. Stories of human courage were taught across alien schools. Parents spoke of the humans who refused to surrender. Soldiers whispered of the humans who hunted relentlessly but wisely. Traders and explorers knew to respect humanity, not out of fear alone, but out of admiration for a species that had risen from a small blue planet to command respect across the stars. Even Elder Theros, who had watched humanity grow from afar, felt a quiet pride. They are not the oldest. They are not the strongest. But they are. Remarkable, relentless, unbreakable. They are a reminder of what it means to be human. The lesson etched forever. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Pride and arrogance, once common among the Council races, now gave way to caution and respect. Species who had once sought to dominate now approached with care, aware that humanity's memory was long and their resolve unshakable. In council chambers, young delegates told the story of Haven Reach, of Krethvar and the relentless hunt. It was not a story of hatred, but a story of warning, a reminder that every action has a consequence. On human worlds, people celebrated the justice they had achieved. They mourned the losses, of course, and never forgot Haven Reach. But they also honored the unity, courage, and determination that had carried them across the stars. Admiral Hayes and Ambassador Carter walked together on the surface of Earth, looking up at the stars that had once seemed distant and unreachable. "We fought, and we remembered," Carter said softly. "Yes," Hayes replied, "and the galaxy will never forget us either. A promise to the future." Even as peace returned, humanity continued to prepare, not for war but to ensure that justice and vigilance remained. Fleet academies trained new generations. Scientists improved ships and defenses. Colonies were strengthened and alliances with other races grew stronger. Humanity had become more than a species. They were a symbol of determination, of unity, and of the power that comes from never forgetting a wrong. Elder Theros looked down from a high observation deck. The humans walked among the stars not as conquerors, but as a people who had earned respect the hard way. "Do not attack the humans," he whispered once more. "They will hunt you forever." And now the galaxy knows, and with that, humanity's place in the galaxy was secure, not because they had destroyed others, not because they had taken vengeance for pleasure, but because they had proven what it truly meant to endure, to fight, and to remember. The stars, once indifferent to humanity, now knew. The humans are relentless. They are unyielding, and they will never stop.